Hello and welcome to the Quibber channel. And I am Jason, your host. Now this vlog is going to be about Paola and me and our game relationship and how that interaction worked. It is a suggestion by Epudis. Paola was a gamer before I met her. But that was long in the past. She shifted from playing Elite on one of the original, I think it was the BBC Micro, back in the day when she was very young. But she was mainly into Star Wars and that, so she retreated into her own little world. Her parents weren't wonderful, but when we got together, and this picture here is from our first house together, the little rented place that was drafty and horrible, and we were there for almost a year and a half before Paola got ill. And this is her desk, her computer. One of the few pictures we've got of that original system. Mine is on the other side of the door to the right of where she's sitting. So to the left there was a TV and there was a couch behind that we could sit at, and but most of our time was spent on this. But this wasn't the first computer we had. We had one computer to start with, and we were both so addicted to playing games that we altered our sleeping habits. When we both started playing games, it was a singular experience. Paola would have the computer from about 2 in the afternoon till midnight, and then I'd have it from midnight till about 4 in the morning, and so on. And we did that. We did shifts on it when we had one computer. Very soon I realized, well, I've got to build a second computer, which Paola helped me do. So we built the two computers, and we had very different takes on games. To start with, the first games we played were not on PC, because we also owned a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 1 and a 3DO and things like that. And we would play, take turns. But we did it as a communal thing, and even the gaming, we were always sharing. Like, every time Paola came off the original computer we had, she'd come and sit on the bed and wake me up and tell me what she'd be up to and that. And then I'd do the same for her. So even though we were playing different games and that. And, well, you know me, I'm not going to cover anything of what thingy. So first of all, our first interest in these games was going to be the MUDs and that, multi-user games that were text-based, and we did very well in them because we were both role players, and we set up our own guilds and that. And this is when I decided to create my own game, because Paola, we went through a bit of hassle on them, and the people in charge were kind of corrupt. And so we thought I could do better, so started to code. She did all the actual ASCII work for the game, and created wonderful artwork for everything. She was the builder and I was the creator of the code. So we had that together. But very soon we stopped wanting to be admins, because you get a point when you're an admin where you spend all your time working and you don't spend time enjoying the actual stuff you do. So one of the first games that we got involved in, and the thing is, as a couple, you'll have different likes and that. And so some things we did separately, like playing Meridian 59, server 102. And we were in touch. We spent time together, but most of the time we would split off and do our own things. It was just the kind of way we played. We liked our own style of play. Paola was the first person to get into an online relationship. You got to understand, me and Paola never had ego. There was never jealousy between me and Paola. Literally, when I found out that Paola was bisexual, or should I say bi-curious, because apart from a certain person in college, she'd never really experimented with it. My first thing was basically, my response was basically, okay, if you want to find a girlfriend, I won't stand against that. If you want to have a girlfriend, you can have a girlfriend. And as long as they don't try to get in between our relationship, I had no fear of losing Paola. I had no fear at all of losing Paola to someone else. So this wasn't ego, this was just the way we both felt. So she was the first one to introduce me to online relationships. She was the first one who actually got involved with someone online. It was an interesting time. Because back then it was very much, nobody used voice chat or anything. This was before all of that. And so we went through this stage of playing on games separately, just doing our own things, and built 2 computers. And generally, you got to remember, it was at this time when Paola got ill, and games became a lifeline at that point. We sort of branched out and intersected. Like, we both played MMOs very differently. My brain, the way my autism worked and that, I could, if I spent too long figuring out a game, I would get completely bored of it. And of course, this wasn't fair on Paola, because she would just start going into a game and then I'd run off to a new game and that. So I'd still always remember to have a character in there if she needed me. But we'd usually plan things together and do bits and pieces and challenge each other. This was the time when I started to look into, we were looking into sexuality, we were looking into my gender, and I started looking into my female side. And we didn't just explore that in real life, we also explored it in games. She was the one who taught me how to create female characters. And she, like most men who create a female character, completely missed the ballpark. It's extremely easy for a woman to know that that's a guy playing a female. Don't let bruise your ego, but it is. Because the things that you would choose to do, it's different. So Paola taught me how to approach it and that. So we had that together. We had lots of things we did together. I mean, like I said, I don't hide any of this. Our relationship between ourselves were completely and totally solid. We played everything. She was better at a lot of games than me, because she could focus more on the games. I could never focus. If I focused too much on a game, then that game became a non-game to me. Once I understood a game, once I worked out all the intricate systems of a game, it became boring to me. So I couldn't let myself be really good at a game. So we went through all of the different MMOs, and I looked pet classes. I loved creating mages that had pets. Because I didn't like when my character got hit. And it was to do with autism and that. It was to do with me. I was connected to my character, and it would be quite jarring if my character took damage. So being one of the classes that had a pet, and the pet took the aggro, the pet took the damage. One of the first MMOs that we went on that we played together was the original EverQuest. That one, she played a shaman, a barbarian shaman, and I played a dark elf, a female dark elf mage, and it was quite hard for us both to meet up because with the factions in the game, places that she could go, I couldn't go, and places that I could go, she couldn't go. So we had to work on grind the factions so I could actually go the places that she was going to be, and she could do the same for me. But we'd go out together and go on adventures, just me and her. But at the same time, there was games like Daggerfall, and Daggerfall I class as one of the earliest games that she played, because Daggerfall was the first game she learnt about shopping in a game, and she loved shopping. She loved shopping for armour. It's where she got the name Adamantium online, was because not through Marvel or anything, or DC or anything like that, but because Adamantium was her favourite metal armour in Daggerfall, and so she actually kitted it, went to every single generated city just to actually find all the parts and equipment for herself. Whereas me, I just bounce around and do stuff. She always had more money than me. She always had more houses than me in every single MMO. She always had the better equipment than me because she would stick with it. I would bounce around. She was a better PvPer in Unreal Tournament than me. She was deadly with a bloody sniper rifle or the disc weapon in Unreal Tournament. I can think she could use that in any situation and kill people. People never knew that she was a girl because that would have altered things. A lot of men have a very, very shallow ego when it comes to, oh my God, I've been beaten by a woman. Counter-Strike, before Counter-Strike became Counter-Strike or Counter-Strike Go, when it was just a mod for Half-Life, we played that a lot, and once again, she always used the AWD, I believe, sniper rifle, and she was a master with that weapon. She could use that damn thing on the fly. She had amazing reactions. But I've shown you her reactions because she was... I've always told you about how when we were out in the wheelchair, she would always use a camera and take pictures while we were moving. She wouldn't let me stop for her to take pictures, and some of the pictures she managed to get in that were amazing. So when it came to PvP games like that, we played together, and then we went on to we went on to EVE Online, and we were terrible. We used to hound people and chase people down and hunt them down and that together in different ships. It was all about playing to your strengths and not comparing yourself to each other. And that was the thing. If your wife, your girlfriend, your partner is interested in games, don't try to force your way of playing on them. There's games out there that have so much common ground and different styles that you can always find something to do together. But the other side to it is you've got to remember, from the moment you build a computer, the first computer for her, and the moment you show her how to build a computer, and you show her how to check her, her FPS, you will never be able to buy a better graphics card for yourself or CPU. Nope, that's out the window. You have to save up for 2. Because lo and behold, if you ever build a computer that is faster than hers, you will be in the doghouse. You will so be in the doghouse. Once you've taught her how to keep an eye on the system and everything, and how to plan her own systems. So yeah, we had to both have the same kind of stuff. The only difference was I always made sure she had a bigger monitor than mine because of her eyesight. Oh God, we played everything we went through all of the MMOs from EVE Online, Neocron, Underlight, EverQuest 2, Anarchy Online, The Secret World, which we loved. The Secret World, the storylines in that were amazing, and some of our favourite voice actors were involved with that. We both, of course, went on Star Trek Online, which we loved. Paola, even back then, before she died, she had 350 games, I believe, on her Steam account. And then we have the games that we played through together, which were special. Like Mass Effect. We played through all of the Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. We don't class Andromeda as being a Mass Effect, really. We don't talk about Andromeda. But the first 3, we played through them together. We'd always play through one playthrough together, and then we'd go off and play our own playthrough. We both had our own version of that. We played through Shadow Hearts, the 2 Shadow Hearts early games, the Final Fantasy games, the early ones we played through them. We didn't really touch the Wii. We had the Wii, but we were more into. We didn't like Nintendo. We really didn't like Nintendo, so we went the other way. Handhelds. We did have a Nintendo DS, so we did play Animal Crossing on that, and that's when Paola got me into solitaire. I remember the night that she was in bed playing solitaire on this little Nintendo 3DS, and I just thought, oh, it's just a card game. It's nothing interesting to me. Holy shit! I swore so many times at that fucking computer. It's cheating. It's giving me the wrong cards. It doesn't want me to win. Oh. But that became one of the early games that I used to play in the bathroom to distract myself. So once again, and she was the first person to introduce me to balloons. She had been playing the original Flash game before she had showed me it. And she kept poking me to try it, and I looked at it and said, "It's too cutesy. I mean, look at it. It makes no sense. It's monkeys and balloons. What's the point?" Until she actually basically forced me to sit down and play it, and I never stopped playing it. You don't have to play the same kind of games. I remember many times when we were sitting on the sofa, Paola would be painting or doing art while we were playing the games together, and then I'd pass the controller over to her while she was taking a break, and then she'd pass it back over to me. Being able to game with your other half, and yeah, all through our entire time online, Second Life and everything, Paola would have her girlfriends, which was interesting, but didn't bother me at all. She never kept secrets. Anybody she ever went with, not only would she explain about me, she would introduce me to them. So there was never a deception or anything like that. It was never a negative thing, and I was happy to have her explore that side of things. We went to Second Life. We played Auto Assault. We literally, you've got to think, you're talking to someone who we were spending about 16 to 17 years stuck in the same house, locked in. Having outlets, both friendships, partners, and other explorations, helped a lot. Skyrim. She was the first one to mod my Skyrim. She was the first one to mod my Skyrim with adult games. She was the first one to introduce me to adult game sites and Japanese games and that, and send those in my direction, which was kind of awesome. You Beryl, you want to get back off as well, don't you know? You don't want beyond much. It's why I was triggered so much by games, and it's so hard for me to play games solo, because it was something me and Paola, even when we were playing different games, she got me into The Sims. I didn't think I'd like The Sims. She got me into so many games that I didn't think I'd like. Calm down. There's no one out there. There's no one out there. Her houses in Skyrim were always kitted perfectly. And she always completed every single quest. I was so random. I would pop up all in there. You've seen the way I play. I'm very random. I have to follow where my brain wants to go. But she would take every quest, complete everything, collect every system. She'd max out. Get the platinum saves and that, and get all the experience badges and all the complete every single thing. About the only game where I did more and got more badges than she did was Mass Effect, because I played that game like 12 different playthroughs at least. She was amazing. Paola was. And some of my favourite memories of Paola are the games we shared. Playing through Mass Effect. I remember late in Paola's illness, in fact a few months before she died, she was downstairs in the living room in the other house, of course. And she was giggling. I was upstairs there. I had just been cleaning upstairs, and I'd moved all stuff around because we had to have all this diabetes stuff, and I had to move the box around. And I just heard it. She was giggling downstairs, and she was playing Forza Horizon 4. She was sitting on her recliner seat, her comfortable seat, and on the big screen TV, and she was on the Xbox One X. And she was bombing around, absolutely bombing around all of the different places. She was taking this Jaguar, one of the old-fashioned Jaguars, which she had painted up with a UK with an England flag and everything on the bonnet. Basically made it out almost to like Austin Powers' version of the Jag. And she was laughing her head off as she bombed around all the different places, smashing through walls and going over fields and just having such a pure kind of fun. And then I sat next to her when she got tired, and I started and got my car out, my favourite car, and started racing around with that. And then I did the marathon, the really big race. And whenever I did the marathon, she would keep an eye on the map in the corner, because I never could. My brain couldn't focus on that corner, so I never knew what turns were coming up. So she would be my navigator and tell me what was going on in that. And it worked with her. That's another thing. If you ever want to play a game with your wife and that, Forza Horizons, if you like racing games, is brilliant. Because you can make it a joint effort. There's so many different things you can do in there. Anyway, me and Paola, what we did together. And yes, I will end it with this. Paola did have more online relationships than me. And yes, we did have people who came to visit us that we met in games. But that's a story for a far different type of channel. So, bye-bye for now.